of you are fine and safe at home. In the last class, we learned about the life of hunter-gatherers. How do they live? Why do they own move? And the various uses of stone tools. We have no written evidence about the prehistoric period. So, we rely upon the archaeological sources such as coins, ornaments, pots, weapons, etc. Archaeologists found evidence of remains of things that were used by the early man in different places of the subcontinent. They call these places as sites. Let's learn more about these sites and the Stone Ages. Sites. Archaeologists found evidences of remains of things used by hunter-gatherers from various places. These places were called sites. Many sites were located near the sources of water. As stone tools were very important, people tried to find places where good quality stone was easily available. Let's learn more about these sites. What do you mean by sites? Sites are places where the remains of things were found. These were made, used and left behind by the people. Understood what are sites? Sites are places where the remains of things were found. Many sites were located near the sources of water such as rivers and lakes. And also they chose places where the good quality of stone was easily available. Factory sites. As stone tools were important, people tried to find places where good quality stones are easily available. Places where stone was found and where people made tools are known as factory sites. How do we know where these factories were? Usually we find blocks of stone, tools that were made and perhaps discarded because they were not perfect, and chips of waste stone left behind at these sites. From these, archaeologists identified these factory sites. Sometimes in factory sites, people lived for a long period of time. Such sites are known as habitation cum factory sites. Understood what is habitation cum factory sites? In some factory sites, they are not only making stone tools, they lived for a long period of time. Such type of sites are called habitation cum factory sites. This is a picture of Bhimbetka cave in present day Madhya Pradesh. This is the habitation cum factory site found by the archaeologists. These include caves and rock shelters such as the one shown here. People chose these natural caves because they provided shelter from rain, heat and wind. Natural caves and rock shelters are found in the Vindhyas and the Deccan Plateau. These rock shelters are close to the Narmada Valley. Can you think of why people chose to live here? Just guess. You understood the stone tools are very important during this period. Mainly, there are two methods used for making stone tools. One is stone on stone and the other one is pressure flaking. The first is called the stone on stone. Here the pebble from which the tool was to be made, also called the core. You can see from the picture the core stone. That was held in one hand. Another stone which was used as a hammer was held in other hand. You can see the picture of hammer stone also. The second stone was used to strike off flakes. That means the hammer stone was used to strike off flakes from the first, from the core stone, till the required shape was obtained. In the pressure flaking method, here the core stone was placed on a firm surface, not in a hand. It was placed in a firm surface, and the hammer stone was used on a piece of bone or stone that was placed on the core to remove flakes that could be shaped into tools. These are the two methods used by the early man to make stone tools. Finding out about fire. Traces of ash have been found in Kurnool caves. This suggests that people were familiar with the use of fire. Fire could have been used for many things, such as a source of light, to roast meat, and to scare away animals. What do we use the fire for today? We have different uses for fire. Rock paintings. Many of the caves in which these early people lived have paintings on the walls. These paintings show wild animals drawn with great accuracy and skill. Sometimes you visit such type of caves like Idakil caves in Wayanad. These caves have beautiful paintings made by the early men. Next we are going to study Stone Ages. Archaeologists or the historians divide the early period into three different periods, such as the early Stone Age, the middle Stone Age and the new Stone Age, Paleolithic, Mesolithic and Neolithic. Let's learn more about this. Paleolithic. This is the earliest period. The word Paleolithic comes from two Greek words, paleo meaning old and lithos meaning stone. This period extends from 2 million years ago to 12,000 years ago. This long stretch of time is divided into the lower, middle and upper Paleolithic. This covers 99% of human history. So Paleolithic is the earliest stone period, and this is coming from the two Greek words, paleo meaning old and lithos meaning stone. We come to the next Stone Age, Mesolithic. The period when we find environmental changes beginning about 12,000 years ago till about 10,000 years ago is called the Mesolithic or the Middle Stone Age. Stone tools found during this period are generally tiny and are called microliths. Microliths were probably stuck onto the handles of bone or wood to make tools such as saws and sickles. At the same time, older varieties of tools continue to be in use. So, Mesolithic is the Middle Stone Age. It extends from 12,000 years to 10,000 years ago. This is the period when we find environmental changes, and the stone tools used during this period were generally tiny and are called microliths. The last Stone Age is Neolithic period. Neolithic means New Stone Age. This extends from about 10,000 years ago. Various changes took place during this period. Let's listen to a small video and learn more about the Stone Ages.
The Stone Age was the period during which stone was the most widely used material for making tools and weapons. Based on the types of tools used, the Stone Age can be divided into three periods. These are the Paleolithic Age or the Old Stone Age, the Mesolithic Age or the Middle Stone Age, and the Neolithic Age or the New Stone Age. The Paleolithic Age was the longest part of the Stone Age. It can be further divided into three periods: lower, middle, and upper. The names of these periods are based on the depths at which remains belonging to these periods have been found. Paleolithic man lived in caves and rock shelters. He was a nomad who wandered from place to place in search of food. He did not know how to produce food. He survived by hunting wild animals and birds, fishing and gathering wild plants, berries, nuts, roots and tubers. Hence, he is called the hunter-gatherer. Paleolithic man realized the advantages of living in groups. It enabled him to hunt large animals and to share food which was scarce and decayed easily. It also provided security against natural dangers. Groups were not very large. There were no inequalities, nor were there any family ties within the group. Average lifespan was only 20 to 25 years. Finished and unfinished Paleolithic artifacts have been found at several sites where raw materials for making such artifacts are also found in plenty. These were probably factory sites where artifacts were made on a large scale. At some sites, ash and animal remains have been found along with artifacts. This suggests that people worked and also lived at these sites. These were habitation cum factory sites. Paleolithic tools were usually made by chipping stones. Stone tools were of two kinds. Core tools were made by chipping off pieces from chunks of rocks or hand-sized pebbles. The stone left after chipping is called core. Core tools were usually oval or pear-shaped. They were mostly used as hand axes for heavy work like cutting trees, digging the earth for roots and tubers, and breaking mounds. Some were used as cleavers for cutting large pieces of meat. Flake tools were made from the sharp pieces or flakes that broke off while shaping core tools. These were useful for chopping meat and skinning animals. Remains of ash at some Paleolithic sites led to the conclusion that fire was known to Paleolithic man. Paleolithic remains have been found at many places in the Deccan such as Pune, Nasik and Chirki Nivasa in Maharashtra, Hunsgi in Karnataka and Kurnool in Andhra Pradesh. Mesolithic age, also called the Middle Stone Age, brought about a change in the lifestyle of Paleolithic period. During this period, the climate of the world was getting warmer, which led to an increase in the variety of plants and animals. Hunting and gathering food became easier and human survival rate increased. Mesolithic people learned to hunt in groups and to fish. They also learned to domesticate plants and animals. Dog was the first animal to be domesticated. Later, they started domesticating sheep, goat and cattle. Gradually, they became herders and farmers. They started growing crops like barley and wheat. Man's main occupation remained hunting and gathering food, but his tools improved gradually. Stone tools were now made from microliths, tiny chips of stone blades. They were then stuck onto handles and bones or wood to make saws, axes, harpoons and fish hooks. Fishing became popular and fish became an important food item. The bow and the arrow were invented during the Mesolithic era. Most of them lived in rock shelters and caves. They moved seasonally following animal movements and plant changes. In many places, settled communities were found near coasts and in river valleys. Houses varied from round to rectangular and were built on wooden posts around a central hearth. In India, Mesolithic remains have been found in Mysore and parts of western and central India. The period following the Mesolithic age is called the Neolithic age or the New Stone Age. It began in India during 8000 to 4000 BC. Beginning of agriculture and living in a community was the most important development of this period, but hunting continued to be the main livelihood. In the Neolithic age, man turned from a food gatherer into a food producer. He moved into larger settlements, cultivated fields, grew crops, and lived a settled life. Remains of animal bones and shelters found at Neolithic sites suggested that they tamed, bred, and raised animals, especially those animals which were mild-natured. Thus, domesticated animals gradually became different from wild animals. Over the years, man learned to select, preserve, and sow good quality seeds. Thus, domesticated plants became different from wild varieties of the same types. Man used harder stones to make tools and polished the blades to make them sharper according to his needs. They also made spindles and bone needles. For keeping the food grains for a longer period, they started making baskets out of wild grass and applied clay around it. Later, they started making clay vessels also. They even dug pits into the ground to store food. The most remarkable invention of Neolithic man was the wheel. It helped them to improve transport. Potter's wheel improved the process of making pots. A village life consisted of a few closely built houses surrounded by a common fence of prickly bush or mud wall. The concept of families came into being in this age, and a group of families living and sharing together customs, beliefs, and practices was called a tribe. The people carried out activities like farming, herding, gathering, fishing in groups. The tribe jointly owned natural wealth such as land, forests, water resources, etc. There was no inequality. Men had occupations such as hunting, plowing, grazing herds of animals. Women took care of home and children and light agricultural tasks. Both men and women took part in pot making, weaving, and making tools, weapons, and ornaments. The most important site of the Neolithic period is Mehergarh in present-day Pakistan. Other important sites are in the northwest in present-day Kashmir and in east and south India.
I hope all of you understood the lesson about sites and the Stone Ages. With that, this lesson is over. So all of you complete the notes. Now take your notebook and write it down. Some questions for you. Send the notebook to me after writing. Write it neatly and legibly. Underline the important points. Define the following. A. Sites. Sites are places where the remains of things were found. Second point. These were made, used, and left behind by the people. Second question. Factory sites. Define factory sites. Answer. Places where stone was found and where people made tools are known as factory sites. Third question. Habitation cum factory sites. Answer. Sometimes people lived in factory sites for a longer spells of time. These sites are called habitation cum factory sites. Next, answer the following questions. First question. What are the two methods used for making stone tools? Answer. A. Stone on stone. You don't want to explain it, only write the names, the methods used for making stone tools. B. Pressure flaking. Second question. List 3 ways in which hunter-gatherers used fire. Answer. As a source of light, to roast meat. Last point, to scare away animals. Third question, how did the historians divide the Stone Age? Answer, the Stone Age is divided into three. A. Paleolithic period, B. Mesolithic period, and C. Neolithic period. We are going to explain about Paleolithic period. First point, this is the earliest period. It extends from 2 million years ago to about 12,000 years ago. Second point, this comes from two Greek words, paleo meaning old and lithos meaning stone. Third point, this long stretch of time is divided into the lower, middle and upper Paleolithic. Next, Mesolithic. First point, the period when we find environmental changes beginning about 12,000 years ago till about 10,000 years ago is called the Mesolithic period. Second point, stone tools found during this period are generally tiny and are called microliths. Next is Neolithic period. First point, this period extends from 10,000 years ago. This comes from two Greek words, neo means new and lithos means stone, meaning the new stone age. Okay, all of you write these answers in the notebook. You have an activity. Look at the present day political map of the subcontinent that is given on page number 136. At the end of this all lessons, you can see that political map of India. You want to compare and find out the state where Bhimbetka, Hungsi and Karnool caves are located. These sites are located in which all present day states. You want to find out from the map. You will get the site map from page number 14 and you want to compare that map with the page number 136. There is another map of present day map and you want to compare and find out present day state these places or where these sites are located. Bhimbetka, Hungsi and Karnool caves are located. I hope all of you understood the lesson clearly. We have completed this lesson. So all of you complete the textbook exercise and complete the notes and send to me. Tomorrow I will send the online test. All of you prepare well for that. Thank you children.